Hi all, welcome to today's card creation for the Craftie Cafe design team. I'm going to be doing a different type of card with this Taylored Expressions where I'll be doing some masking and this off the page die cut that goes along with this stamp set, and that's why it is the cutting edge border die. So what I've done is I've got a top folding white cardstock. I've got some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I've just stamped on the front panel as far as I can to the edge, to the bottom, and then I'm going to die cut this, and I'm securing it down with some washi tape, and that way I'm going to make sure I've got it evenly and well cut through. So my top folding card is just going to have that little bit of element where it's got a partial die cutting with the die already doing the work for me. So I'm going to be masking this off because I want to do a little bit of ink blending. I've got some picked raspberry and some tattered rose. I'm going to put the picked raspberry on the inside of the bottom panel, and I'm going to almost create a slight ombre effect where I'm going to go a little bit more heavy-handed towards the edge and lighter towards the middle, and towards the higher I go. Now this is why I've chosen tattered rose, and I've still with that mask on top. I'm just going to place this ink softly and gradually going up the actual card front. So I've got an ink blending tool to help me work this ink and the Distress Oxide ink, and just playing around, just going softer to touch as I go up the page of the cardstock. Once I've finished and I'm happy with that, I move on to my next step. And you see me here going a little bit further up. Just so it looks more gradual and gradient, very ombre-y. Now I've peeled off this masking paper and I'm actually going to pencil colour in. You're going to see me work through lightest to dark, dark and dark to lightest, and I use my Prisma coloured pencils, and I also use my Prismacolor sharpener. I colour in all the leaves first, and then I work my way towards the flowers. Now I use my Taylored Expressions front image from the stamp set as a guide of the colouring. I really liked that floral arrangement, so I kind of worked off that front panel as a guide, as a colour guide anyway, to use. So just taking my time. Now, one of my tips with regards to Prismacolor pencil, and by all means I'm no expert, but I have been having a lot of fun, is when I want to shade a heavier shade into the depth of the flowers, I make sure my pencil's as sharp as possible and not too sharp where I can't blend, and I create an indentation, but it's sharp enough so that I can get more depth by getting into the creases or the folds of the flower, etc. So you can see here me playing around with the colors, and especially with all the purples, and then working towards the inside of all the flowers. Now I do this throughout my whole card as well, and you will see a variety of color combinations. Now I'm going to put some music on because I feel like the coloring and me talking through this process can be a little bit boring. And once I'm finished coloring, I will come back. once I'm happy with all the colouring, I bring in some Squeeze Lemonade Distress ink, and I'm going to do a little bit of the ombre but going from top to bottom here, and also leaving almost like a white halo or center in the middle of the card here. So just as again with the light touch and just playing around and just adding that beautiful ink and slightly blending the pink and the yellow where they meet there in the center. Once I'm happy with that, I've got a really damp paintbrush here, and I just with water, and I just basically tap and flick my paintbrush to add some splatters on that distress ink, because we all know the properties of the distress ink reacts really great to water, and so I thought I'd just add some of that splotches effect. Now I've got the Impression Obsessions Wishes die here in Coordinating Stamp Set. I cut the die with a almost like a turquoise pistachio ink, leaving it in the cardstock here. So I've run it through the Big Shot and I leave it in there, so then I can apply some Distress Oxide ink, again trying to get that ombre effect, so a bit of a theme going on here, and just adding some depth to that sentiment. Now I felt like the sentiment didn't stand out enough for me, so I just mounted it on black cardstock where I ran through the sentiment and I just slightly offset it, which I didn't catch it on film here, but you can see it stand out on the actual card that little bit more. Now I'll grab the Coordinating Stamp Set and figure out where the placement of the add-on sentiment here, and I'm going to do the birthday, and I'm going to place that here on the top of the sentiment. I want a little bit of guidance, and I want to make sure, because I've done majority of this card already, I wanted to make sure I've got it in the right spot, so I've brought in my Misty to guide me, and this way I know where I'm going to stamp and the exact spot, and if I didn't get it right, I know that I've got it as a backup to restamp it. It's the beauty about the Misty tool, as well as any kind of stamping platform to help guide. But I ended up getting it the first go, which I was ecstatic about, and it also helped that I used VersaFine Onyx black ink. Now I've got a Zig two-way glue pen here, glue pen, and I just follow the back of the die to make sure I coat that really well with some glue and adhesive. Once I've happy and got enough on there, I will place that on the card front. Making sure I also glue the tittle down. And make sure that's perfectly placed on the card front. I add some sequins, the ballerina sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, and some twine on the top, and I kind of feel like I still haven't finished the card, so I've got some MFT striped paper here, and I'm actually going to place it on the inside, but where you can slightly see the card front as well, and adds that little bit of extra detail, which I'm happy I did at the end. So really that finishes my card off. I hope you enjoy my card creation today and it inspires you. You can see here of how it's opened on the card front and closed here. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate all your comments and support. See you later.